The silence cut like a blade. The sky, of a merciless blue, watched in absolute silence. The cracked ground beneath Jesus' bare feet radiated a hostile heat, and there was no shade, no comfort, no human voice nearby. Only the sound of the wind scraping the stones and the steady beat of a heart that endured. 40 days had passed. 40 nights had drained all strength from the body, but not the clarity of the mission. And it is at this exact point that the story begins. When everything had been emptied, the enemy approached. The temptation of Jesus in the wilderness is not a story to entertain. It is a revelation that exposes the most invisible and brutal war the universe has ever witnessed. It is not a fable with moral lessons, but a confrontation between two realities: the kingdom of light and the empire of darkness. The Gospel of Matthew records with sobriety what happened. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. These words do not describe just an event, but a mystery laden with eternal weight. Jesus was led. It was not accidental, not the consequence of a hasty choice. It was the Spirit that took him there, to the dry ground where the devil was already waiting. But who was this who dared to confront the Son of God? Was it an idea, a symbol of evil, an internal projection of human fears? Or could it be a real being with intelligence, strategy, and a thirst for destruction? This is the question that has set the souls of theologians, mystics, and believers ablaze for centuries. And the answer is not merely theoretical. It shapes our entire understanding of the spiritual battle that still unfolds around us today. Before we continue, if this message has already impacted you, subscribe to the channel now. Activate the notification bell to receive our upcoming videos. Here, we seek the truth with spiritual depth and biblical clarity. Your subscription helps us reach more lives with the word that sets free. The text does not say how the devil presented himself. There is no description of his appearance, no account of sounds or visual manifestations. But there are words. Words directed at Jesus. Words that provoke, that challenge, that test the identity and mission of the Son. And that is enough for us to know the confrontation was real, because ideas do not speak. Metaphors do not articulate temptations with surgical precision. Only an intelligent being is capable of using Scripture itself as a distorted weapon. And that is exactly what the tempter does. Jesus was weak in body but fully awake in spirit. He was not hallucinating. He was not dehydrated to the point of delirium. He was in a state of profound vigilance, sustained not by food, but by an unbreakable communion with the Father. And it is precisely when a man is most vulnerable that the devil enters the scene. Because the enemy is not in a hurry. He waits for hunger, exhaustion, emptiness. He knows the best ground to plant doubt is the desert. The devil's first words are not a direct offense. They are a suggestion disguised as logic. If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become bread. It seems harmless. It even seems sensible. After all, what's wrong with turning stone into bread? Jesus has the power. He is the Son of God. Why not prove it? But it is exactly here that the enemy's cunning is revealed. He does not merely want to feed Jesus' body. He wants Jesus to doubt who he is. He wants the Son to question his own identity. This is always the devil's first tactic. He questions what God has already declared. At the baptism, just days before, the Father had said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." But now, in the desert, the Father's voice is silent, and the tempter fills that silence with doubt. This dynamic is ancient. It was the same in Eden. The serpent did not order Eve to eat the fruit. It merely asked, "Did God really say that?" A question, a suggestion, a doubt planted with skill. Throughout the Bible, we see the enemy always acting with this same logic. He does not appear with horns and a pitchfork. He comes with phrases that seem true but hide poison. He quotes Scripture out of context. He even uses religion to distort obedience. He acts like an advocate of darkness, using words against their own author. Therefore, reducing the devil to a metaphor is to misunderstand what is at stake. The temptation of Jesus was a real test, with a real opponent. If it were merely an internal drama, there would be no victory. And if there is no victory, there is no hope for us. Because what strengthens us today is knowing that Jesus defeated the same enemy that tries to bring us down. Not an idea, not an impulse, but a real entity. Satan, the accuser. This name, by the way, carries a mission within it. Satan is not just a title, it is a function. It means adversary, the one who opposes. And the Bible is filled with his appearances, in heaven, in Eden, in spiritual courts, in the shadows of human history. In Job, he appears conversing with God, asking permission to test the faithful servant. In Zechariah, he stands to accuse the high priest. In Revelation, he is called the great dragon, the ancient serpent, the deceiver of the whole world. All these descriptions point to the same being, a fallen being, a spirit that was once full of light but was corrupted by pride. In Isaiah, he is described as the one who desired to ascend above the stars of God. In Ezekiel, as the anointed cherub who became wicked. These texts, though addressed to earthly kings, carry deep spiritual layers. They reveal that evil did not originate on earth, but in heaven, and that the devil is not merely a symbol of evil, but its active source. That is why the temptation in the desert was not a performance. It was a spiritual duel between the new Adam and the ancient rebel. The first Adam fell before the serpent, the second stood firm before the tempter. This comparison is central to understanding Christ's mission. He did not come merely to teach, he came to redo the path. Where man fell, he triumphed. Where there was disobedience, he brought surrender. And the first step of that victory was taken in the desert. Jesus did not use superpowers to win. He did not summon angels. He did not make manna rain down. He simply responded with the word, "It is written." 3 times he uses this weapon. 3 times he undoes the lie with the truth. And this teaches us that the battlefield of the mind is won with the sword of the Spirit, because the enemy operates in subtleties. He does not invade with force. He whispers, he suggests, he offers a shortcut. But Jesus shows us that we do not need shortcuts. We need faithfulness. The second temptation reveals an even deeper blow. The devil does not give up when you resist. He changes strategy. If Jesus does not yield to the need of the stomach, perhaps he will bend to the desire for security and public recognition. The tempter then takes him to the pinnacle of the temple, an elevated, sacred place where any supernatural manifestation would draw crowds. "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here," he says, and now he uses scripture to justify the leap. "For he will command his angels concerning you." Here, the spiritual battle reaches a new level. The enemy does not just speak. He quotes the Bible. He does not shout. He argues, and his words, stripped of context, take on the appearance of truth. But Jesus is not deceived. He responds again with the word, in its proper context. "It is also written, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test. He will not throw himself down to prove who he is, because those who know their identity in the Father do not need to test him to confirm it." This response reveals Christ's inner steadfastness, a faith that does not require signs to remain firm, a conviction that does not feed on applause. This temptation touches an area that many Christians face in silence, the desire to use God as a shield for impulsive decisions. How many times do we say, "If it's God's will, he will stop it," even when we know we are about to leap from the pinnacle of the temple out of pride or insecurity? How many times do we twist verses to justify questionable behavior? It is a subtle trap. The devil knows he cannot pull us away from the word, so he tries to make us use it wrongly. He offers spirituality without submission, faith without the cross, authority without obedience. Jesus, however, does not move by the logic of a distorted spiritual world. He moves by faithfulness. He knows the Father, knows the Scripture, and therefore does not play the manipulation game. Here we learn that knowing the Bible is not enough. The devil knows it too. The difference lies in who lives it. Jesus did not just know what was written, he was the living Word incarnate, and that is why he resisted. But the enemy still had one final card to play. The third temptation is the most direct. All this I will give you if you bow down and worship me. Now there is no more subtlety. The disguise falls. The devil's purpose is exposed. He wants worship. He always has. Since the heavens, when he desired to ascend above God's throne, what he craved was worship. And now he asks for it directly from the Son. He offers the kingdoms of the world, the glory of the nations, absolute power, all in exchange for a bent knee. But the price is non-negotiable. Jesus does not negotiate. He commands, "Get behind me, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him alone you shall serve." Here the battle ends. The enemy is not just resisted, he is expelled. Jesus' authority manifests not with shouts, but with firm words grounded in Scripture. Worship is indivisible. It is either wholly for God, or it is not. And Jesus makes it clear that glory is only legitimate when it comes through obedience, not concession. This moment is decisive. The devil offered a shortcut. Kingdoms without the cross, power without suffering, glory without humiliation. But the Messiah did not come seeking shortcuts. He came to redeem humanity through the path of surrender. And that is why he won. Because he did not accept the easy offer, because he was not seduced by the fleeting glitter of the world. He chose the narrow path, the one of absolute faithfulness. This model is vital for us because the temptations Jesus faced were not exclusive to him. They are profound echoes of what we all face. The hunger that tries to corrupt obedience, the doubt that challenges our trust, the pride that craves immediate recognition. And in each of these areas, Jesus blazed a path to victory. But Christ's victory was not automatic. It was the fruit of constant obedience. Jesus, though God, submitted to a real process. He emptied himself, not of divinity, but of the prerogative to use it apart from the Father. He felt every pain, faced every burden, resisted every evil voice with the same weapon we hold today, the Word. And here lies one of the most neglected truths in modern spirituality. Resisting is possible. Temptation does not have to be the end. The desert does not have to destroy us. There is a path to victory, and it is grounded in eternal truth. Faithfulness does not come from willpower, but from communion. Jesus won because he was filled with the Word before he was tempted. He did not improvise answers. He did not seek strength in the hour of desperation. He was already anchored in the truth. This preparation is what many neglect. They want to win like Jesus, but live far from the Father. They want spiritual authority, but neglect fasting, prayer, meditation. The desert does not forgive improvisation. It reveals who you are truly aligned with, and it was this alignment that sustained Jesus. The text says that after the third temptation, the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him. This short sentence carries an ocean of comfort. The enemy may approach, but he does not remain. He has no dominion over those submitted to God. And when he leaves, heaven moves. The angels did not come earlier, did not interrupt the battle, but came at the right time to restore, strengthen, serve. This dynamic remains alive today. Often we face struggles in silence, feel the weight of temptation, the emptiness of the desert. But if we stand firm, the angels will come. God's help never fails. It just does not come early. He waits for us to pass through the test, not because he is indifferent, but because he trusts what he has planted in us. And when we resist, he honors us. This passage is not just a chapter in Jesus' story, it is a manual for spiritual warfare. It shows us that the enemy is real, that temptation is subtle, that the desert is inevitable, but that victory is possible. Not with human strength, not with techniques, but with the living word, embodied in us, with silent faithfulness, with deep surrender. And here lies the beauty of the gospel. Jesus did not win only for himself. He won for us. He opened a path. He left a model. He became our faithful high priest, who sympathizes with our weaknesses. And because of this, we can approach the throne of grace with confidence. Because he knows what it is to be tempted. He knows what it is to hear the serpent's voice. But he also knows what it is to win. The temptation in the desert was the beginning of an open war between light and darkness. The devil did not vanish after that defeat. He merely changed forms. He would return in the shadows, in the Pharisees, in Judas, in Peter, but none of this would catch Jesus by surprise, because he knew the enemy, and more than that, he had already defeated him. Today, that same voice still tempts, still whispers, still offers shortcuts, but the same word that sustained the Messiah is available to us, and it is still a lamp, still a sword, still a shield. Temptation is real, but victory is too. The devil was real. The desert was real. But Christ's faithfulness was even more real. On that cracked, scorching ground, there was no spectacle. There was resistance, and that resistance opened a new path for all who believe. Today, we do not face the enemy alone. The one who won is alive and lives in us. He still speaks, still sustains, still guides us through temptations. May this truth echo in your soul. If Jesus won, we can win too. The desert is not the end. It is the beginning of the glory born from obedience. Stand firm. Resist, overcome,